Now, as you can guess, Corey, the negatives, some people have come in and they've been pretty adamant about it. From the 817, new year, same team, same result. From the 214, the Mavs are trash and I won't watch them anymore. From the 469, the season is over. We did ask for overreactions, and if your takeaway from getting blown off the court by a good Atlanta Hawks team is this season will be no different, I get it. Because like in the one-game sample,
right,
which of course is an insane way to do it, but in the one-game sample, it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, they're never going to make shots again for the rest of the season, and that's like a big concern for me because they don't have great shooters. And that's being facetious, but at the same time, their shooting was poor last night.
Can I say something that does go along with that? I am concerned because what I don't think this team has the ability to handle is another, especially from the outside, slow start from Luka, because he was bad shooting last night, and it took him a while to get in his three-point groove last year. When he did, it was like freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But he
is in shape this year. Yeah, last year he wasn't.
Which is good. I don't think that one thing that you saw last night that is very disturbing because the game wasn't close is you cannot afford an off shooting night from Luka, and I'm hoping that he gets off to a quicker start this year shooting wise than he did last year.
Luka, for this team to be successful, it's one game, so hopefully this isn't the case because I know Jason Kidd wants him to pass the ball more. I'd say to who? Who do you want him to actually pass the ball more to? We've done a segment on that, a couple weeks ago. He has to be the greatest basketball player ever, better than Michael Jordan was in his prime, better than Magic Johnson was, better than Kobe, better than LeBron because of the talent he's dealing with around him. That's just how it is, and he can't. He's not going to accomplish that. He's at 22 years old. He's not going to be better than LeBron was at 28, 30 years old, or Jordan was at that age, or Kobe, or whoever. But that's what you're asking because of the lack of talent around him. And now I'll go into the negatives. Dorian Finney-Smith is not a starting player in this league. He is a player. He is a guy that should get 15 minutes. He could get 15 minutes on the Hawks. He could get 15 to 20 minutes or so on the Lakers. He can play in this league. He just can't play the starters' minutes in this league. He is not a 30-minute-a-night guy.
You never want him shooting the ball that much.
No, look, they put Trae Young on him. Trae Young is maybe the worst defensive player in the NBA.
He's an awful defensive player.
And Dorian Finney-Smith couldn't score a point against him. That shows you the lack of ability that Dorian Finney-Smith has offensively. Is he a good catch-and-shoot guy? He's all right at it. And Luka gives him wide open looks, and he makes about 35% of those. So that's fine. And defensively, he's a solid defensive player. But he should never be a starting player on a competitive team in this league. But Mark Cuban can't see that. He honestly, Mark Cuban is a bad talent evaluator of NBA players, and he runs this team. And then Dorian Finney-Smith Dwight Powell can't play in this league. He just can't play in this league.
From the 254, man, Mavs fans are going hard this morning. MFFL here. Nico and Kidd were choices made by a narcissist, Mark Cuban, who misevaluates his human capital egregiously. Take Bob Voulgaris for an example. From the 972, Luka will demand a trade in 3 years. KP still sucks, and Luka still takes too many threes, and Dorian Finney-Smith is an absolute train wreck. From the 682, how in God's green earth is Willie Cauley-Stein playing with the second team? That dude can't play worth a damn. Holy cow. And then to your point from the 817, one of the Mavs going to get a real center. Powell is trash. But KG brought up an interesting point when we were talking about, but we brought this point up leading into the season. We're not like, oh my God, this is a problem. He's like, replace with who? And I'm like, I don't know.
And they didn't care. Mark Cuban thinks he has the most underrated players in the history of the NBA. Everybody's underrated. Maxi Kleber's so underrated. Dorian Finney-Smith so underrated. That's all Mark Cuban says. God, my guys are so great and so underrated by the NBA. And the reason he feels like they're underrated is probably when teams call about trading with the Mavericks. Nobody wants these guys. And he's like, how do you guys not see how great they are? And all 29 other teams, Corey, look at those guys and go, we don't want them on our team.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say was until this team can trade this season, unless they can trade, then this season is the same as every other season for the last 5 years. It's going to be meh. It was a waste of time, and Luka drug these guys to wherever they get to. But did you have enough time to really and enough resources to do anything this offseason? Did you really have the time and resources to make your team better with players, like good players?
Okay, the thing that I think is interesting about that question is I might argue not really, but my concern is that they didn't think it was necessary anyway. I think you make a valid point about
the day the season ended. Mark Cuban was like, "We're using all our money to bring Tim Hardaway Jr. back." So Corey, they did have the resources and somewhat availability,
they just chose to stick
but they
with
chose
their
to. As soon as you made the Tim Hardaway Jr. decision, you said we're bringing back the exact same team. And I'm not like totally against Tim Hardaway Jr. You haven't heard me say a negative thing right now about Tim Hardaway Jr. He is what he is. He's a streaky shooter who can help you in games win, and at times he can hurt you because if his shot's not going in, he doesn't have a lot of other abilities to help you. KP, I'm not down on KP last night. Look, it wasn't good, but it wasn't horrible. I saw moments where you're hoping he can improve, but he has to be a guy that gets you 25 points and 10 rebounds a game. And I don't know if he's physically gifted enough to do that. I get his talent on shooting a basketball and making shots. I get that. But at one point, John Collins just ripped the ball away from him like he was a little junior high kid playing against an 18-year-old. It looked like a 13-year-old versus an 18-year-old.
Atlanta's a really good team, though.
For sure.
That's something that I don't think that anybody, a lot of people might look at Atlanta and be like, it's Atlanta, you should have at least been competitive. They are a very good team.
They are.
And it's not, and I know I give you a hard time, Kevin, with Trae Young and he's a winner and all that stuff.
He is.
He's surrounded by good players. And that's part of the thing that I don't know if anybody can really understand. That team's coming out of this gate this year with something to prove, and the Mavericks are still trying to figure a lot of stuff out.